I was sitting in the bed and I asked my wife to bring me an A4 paper so that I can write my testament. You know, that's the way I felt. Now you can imagine. But then something just came up in me and I questioned myself. Is this you? Is this really you? Get up, go down to the Van Amsterdam Hall and do a bit of exercise there and lift yourself out of the situation. When I was 50 years old, I was diagnosed diabetic. In fact, at the time, I was really feeling weak and was given medication from the doctor. And but that only helped me for a while. And then, you know, I became actually very weak again.
So Stuart, why are we doing this?
We're doing this because in 2014, I was driving in my car and on the radio was Tim Noakes being interviewed, and he was explaining the whole low-carb, high-fat lifestyle, the Banting lifestyle, and everything just made sense. I'd heard about it, but when he explained it, it just all happened for me. And I went home and emptied my cupboards, like he mentioned, that you just get rid of everything that has sugar in it, because you don't realize all the products that actually have sugar in them. And a month later, I had to buy new clothes. And which was quite
in your pockets.
It's quite cool, but it was exciting. And then 3 years later, after living the Banting lifestyle for 3 years, and my friends and getting people involved, I came up with an idea and I approached my friends in the film industry. Thank you very much. And we have now the Banting Showdown, and the way to get the credibility into the show is with the leading research organization, Noakes Foundation, and here we are.
Banting or low carbohydrate eating is actually the way that we used to eat before the American guidelines changed in about the 1970s. So we say that it's the way that we are meant to eat, and it's more natural eating, it's original eating. What happened in the last 50 years is that marketing and marketeers hijacked nutritional science, and it was made to be healthy to eat whole grains and refined sugars and carbs.
Chronic disease specifically impacts on majority of the country that are without access to private health care. And one of the major socioeconomic factors that impact on chronic disease is poverty. And South Africa has the largest Gini coefficient in the world, which means we have the largest gap between the rich and the poor. In 2015, 5 million people died from diabetes alone. That's 1 every 6 seconds. And we've realized through our Eat Better South Africa program that we've come up or designed a simple and cost-effective approach to address these challenges. Eat Better South Africa is the community's outreach initiative of the Noakes Foundation, and our aim is to make the benefits of a low-carbohydrate lifestyle accessible to South Africans from all walks of life, but specifically focusing on under-resourced communities.
About 2 years ago, I found people here with an overhead projector and chairs, and I decided, wait a minute, let's sit in. And the information I got that specific day, it made me become part of this intervention.
Maar toe hy daar vanaf kom en toe sê hy gaan op begin oefen en hy gaan kos hy strik op die Banting en hy Gloria ons moet nou regtig ons dit sal vir my gesond maak. En alles wat Banting betref het hy elke dag lees hy daai sheet vir my af. Vandag is dit nou 10 meal en dit is verskillende maal groentetjies en ek het dit gemaak soos hy sê in dit ingeval.
We've implemented a sustainability model in Atlantis, and that entailed us appointing a community coach, Sylvia, and she meets with the group twice a month, and we as Eat Better South Africa plug in every 8 weeks. Through her gym group, we would then invite the rest of the community to participate in an introductory session, which involves a sugar demonstration. So we would show people the hidden sugars that are found in everyday seemingly harmless foods. And we show them that a slice of bread is not just a slice of bread, it's 3 teaspoons of sugar. A bowl of rice is 14 teaspoons of sugar. And because they can visually conceptualize it, they're able to grasp that.
As jy nie 'n passie het om iets te doen nie, dan gaan jy dit nie doen nie. Gaan jy nie vol bly met die passie nie. Ek is 5 jaar betrokke in die oefening, so ek dink ek sal ophou nie, want ek is baie lief daarvoor. Ek is ook oor die low-carb, high-fat banting program as ek baie passievol, want het vir my baie sens gemaak toe jou die vir my verduidelik het waaroor het gaan en hoe ons voorvaders gelewer het. Ek het die essensie rondom verstaan nie, maar ek het meer het sens gemaak hoe ons voorvaders geëet het en dit het vir my nader gebring om te eet soos ons voorvaders. 1, 2, 3.
You know, I honestly find it mind-blowing when I think about the fact that the healthcare industry isn't doing more to address this issue.
Yeah, I know. So it blows my mind as well, you know. And so I've been working in the healthcare industry for about 15 years now. And I've witnessed these companies, these pharmaceutical companies, ignoring the inherent ability of the body to heal itself. The body knows how to fix itself. It just requires a good supply of oxygen and the right nutrients to do its job. And that's the key, you know.
There just weren't enough doctors out there who were professionally trained in the low-carb eating science. So we created the Nutrition Network, and basically it's one centralized online learning platform that contains all the science, all the evidence in the field of low-carb nutrition and how you can apply that in clinical practice. When they encounter a patient who is, say, type 2 diabetic, we go through step by step how they need to consult with that patient. So what family history they need to get, what measurements to take, what biomarkers to track. And from that consultation, doctors can make an informed decision on how to prescribe the low-carb diet to them.
Essentially, we're saying to them, food is medicine, and how are you as a doctor going to prescribe your patient a better outlook on life? And that isn't by sending them away with a script with a number of diabetes medications and hypertensive medications. It's about deprescription of medication. It's about saying, how am I over the next year to 5 years going to take this person who's metabolically dying and ill off their medications and give them a normal outlook on life?
Wat is sap is dit?
Dis groentesop.
Groentesop. O, groentesop.
As gooi dit uit die groente uit. Ons van die groentespa.
Ja.
Fantasties.
Ever since I started on this program, I never became sick. In fact, even I went through the winters without the flu. And after testing my diabetes, it came down immediately since I started with low carbohydrates and high or good fat.
Banting laat jou goed voel, hy gee vir jou energie, hy laat jou jonger lyk. Dat het ek ook baie opgelet. Wat my gesondheid betref, daar's groot verskil. Groot verskil. Jou hare breek nie meer af, jou hare groei. Baie mense het mos die donker vlekke na hulle pregnancy, die vel lyk ligter. Die suiker het ook veroorsaak dat ek baie terras gekry het. Ek het nie meer ditty, ek het nie meer bleeding gums nie. Ek het acid reflux gehad, wat ek baie suur gehad. Ek kan nie vir jou sê, wanneer laas ek by 'n dokter was, hy maklik 2 jaar terug of 3 jaar terug, ons amper 3 jaar Banting, my medical uithou.
Most people know within a week to 2 weeks if Banting and very low carbohydrate is the optimal way for them, and they will respond immediately. And that tends to be about 60 to 70% of the people that adopt LCHF. Men, I would say it's between 80 and 90% where it's extremely successful and immediate. But as a broad brush stroke, Reducing carbohydrates is the first thing that anyone could do to improve their metabolic health.
My kinders is drink glad die koeldrankie, glad die cokes en juices. My man het sommer onmiddellik op die program gegaan.
This is my firstborn, Lorenzo Scholes.
Hello, everybody.
And this is his wife, Chelsea Scholes.
I'm your baby.
This is my husband, Brian Scholes. We've been married now for 25 years. And still going strong.
Is 'n bietjie moeilik nog. Ek sukkel met my laat lammetjie Ethan. En hy wil nog sy koeldrank drink. Hy wil nog 'n stukkie brood eet. You see, so dit gaan 'n bietjie moeilik met hom, maar verder met die hele program gaan dit goed.
As young people, we need to inform ourselves and we need to do the research, just get the knowledge, and I think that's what a lot of our young people is lacking. And my mother was, of course, my inspiration for just for knowledge, because we always used to have the meetings at home, and of course I listened. So that's when I started picking up how our young people, how wrong we eat. Just the chip rolls, of course, you know, it's a late night, you have a drink, and the first thing is the McDonald's and all these things. I basically just used all the information that she gave me, and especially my wife now, well, we kind of applying it in ours, so now food making. And yeah, it's great.
Ja, maar eerlijk waar. En die oggend vrou. Dat sal jy vandag mee gedrink vir oggend by die huis. Jy weet so sal die aangaan. Sy spring, laat dit lê.
Ja, dat is altijd iets wat zij voor ons zeggen wat ons moet doen. Enige iets wat ons nodig heeft, ons kan maar net naar Selby toe komen.
Niks wordt weggegooid bij Banting. Ze het al voor ons gezegd, die skillen, dat ons voorin voor de honden gegeven. Het is gezegd, die groenteskillen dan. Nee, helemaal niet. Smaakt maar sopa van. En zo, dat is wat ons kan zien. Ons kan zien, maar is bespaarbaar. Ja.
What we're trying to promote within our Eat Better South Africa program is to assist communities to eat better, not eat perfectly. And in order for us to do that, we've got to take into consideration the kinds of foods that are accessible. Eating better for us would have more of an impact than eating perfectly.
Every intervention that we've run has had between 1 and 2 men. And we've accepted them because they've either been obese or diabetic. But women are the ones that have showed up and done the interventions with us. Our new study that is an RCT and that's ethics approved is actually only looking at women. And a group of PhD researchers at UCT are going to study the biological markers and the reversal of their disease. And that's the most important for us because it gives evidence for how important carbohydrate restriction is to our country.
Die passie is nog baie daar. Ek kan net nie almal bereik want baie van ons mense eet dit al vir 60 of vir 50 jaar eet hulle so en is moeilik om vir die mense te konwins om weer reg te eet. Dis hoekom ek wil graag begin by die kinders op die skole want miskien sal dit daar sins maar miskien ek meer vir hulle konwins.
Is sugar the most addictive substance on earth? Personally, I think so. It comes in all sorts of colors and flavors, and it's everywhere we go. So, to tackle this question, the Banting Showdown will demonstrate exactly how sugar affects the metabolism.
There's a lot of dissonance in the dietary debate around the world at the moment. We like to look behind the curtain of what's really going on, and we look at who's funding it, where's it coming from, and that's particularly prevalent in the grains industry. Grains are one of the biggest industries in the world at the moment. They're also one of the biggest owners of land and agricultural space in the world, and that's happened over the last 60 years. Grains are resilient, they're drought resilient, they're easy to plant, they're easy to grow, they're cheap. So it's a cheap bulk filler in food, and they have an annual turnaround. And the grain industry and the grain manufacturing ties into the sugar industry. So it's basically the category of refined carbs. And what's emerged from that is that the plant-based diet has come in opposition to the Banting or the ketogenic way of eating. And a lot of the spokespeople for the plant-based movement come from industry.
Once you know and once you understand the science, you can't unknow it. And you realize, how is it that we don't know? And it then becomes a responsibility to share this information.
What makes our country unique is that the poorest people live on between 70 and 100% refined carbohydrates. Particularly interesting in a group recently where we were doing some qualitative research, how people kept going on about their traditional diets, and they kept saying, I'm not going to give up pap, it's my tradition. And when you look back historically, pap hasn't been in South Africa for that long. It was brought here by the Portuguese as one of the kind of solutions for feeding animals, but it is not a traditional diet in South Africa. There are a lot of beautiful beans that are definitely traditional diets here, and they're very healthy. They're Banting in relative terms compared to pap.
It's no surprise that when the food and healthcare industries are challenged, a significant pushback is inevitable. And the only way to disrupt this is to demonstrate the facts.
There was quite a bit of pushback from the public because essentially this diet challenges your dietary beliefs that you've had your whole life and which have been ingrained in us. When Prof went through his trial with the HSPCA and was recently vindicated and delivered enough proof in support of the low-carb diet, that has kind of initiated a shift in the public perception. And I believe that people are starting to understand what we're trying to do, that we're trying to help change people's lives through nutrition. We have a Facebook group that has over 1.5 million Banting supporters. And that's amazing to see, and that's a community of support. And the commercial side is also responding to the public desire. We're getting restaurants with lots of Banting breakfasts and Banting meals, and we're getting lots of Banting products. I think the only reason why it's being so successful and why so many people are buying into it now is because they're trying it and it works for them.
Ek kan sê it's affordable as jy reg ook budget en miskien die cheaper version van protein kan koop. As jy kyk nou na jou sardines en chicken livers, magies, nekkies, pilchards, daai is baie goedkoper, dan sal dit sustainable wees.
So I don't know if you know this, but I've been Banting for about just under 2 months now because I wanted to buy into what I'm doing. And 3 days ago I was at gym and a friend of mine came up to me and he said, what are you doing? Because I'm actually noticing a change in your body. And he said that my stomach is gone. The funny thing is I've been training for a long time, but I've always had a little pouch. And it's crazy, just by changing your diet, I've noticed that my stomach has it's dropped, it's gotten flatter.
That's the cool thing, my man, is that it's actually that simple. And so that's what we want to show in the Banting Showdown, is that transformative journey that people respond to is the visual cues, the dramatic weight loss, and people feel amazing, despite all the physiological things that happen inside the body, which are amazing.
There's a lot of things, activity that I'm involved in now. I've ran before the 100 meters I was running on the track there with friends. They said, no, but this man is not old. He can't be old. And you know, so I outran them too. And whatever I was doing, I was playing 5 soccer, I'm playing golf.
Yes, hy lyk sommer gesond as hy opstaan as. Nou, daar is hy bossels.
I tell you that this is just amazing. People are lying out there and they are sick and they're getting sick. If they can get up there and start this plan, it's a guarantee that they will live life to its fullest.
Most people get onto the program to reverse and manage chronic disease, and the weight loss is really just an up. What our participants report is that it's not just a physical transformation. All of a sudden they feel like they're more empowered to make better decisions, and that translates into so many different aspects of their lives.
Don't get in your head about it, people. Just go like, okay, I'm going to spend 2 months eating low carb. You don't have to go carnivore or become a binge meat eater. You just need to cut the carbs and do it for your children and see the results for yourself.
I think that this show is a wonderful opportunity to showcase the low-carb lifestyle. The fact that it's on a reality TV show format, it is a great way to access the public and bring Banting into your living room and normalize it.
I think it's going to take away the fear factor from Banting. It's going to put a lot of myths aside. And the thing that I want to highlight is, a lot of people will see the before and the after pictures and they think, oh wow, that's amazing. It is hard work. The low carbohydrate lifestyle is exactly that. It's a lifestyle. It's not a quick fix. It's not a one size fits all approach. It is a lifestyle.
My son, who's 11 years old, I tried for years to get him to try and cut the carbs and sugars, and he ignored me and refused. And then one day he watched a movie called That Sugar Film, and he the next morning for himself decided that he was going Banting. It made me realize the impact that it has. So we really need a show like this. There isn't anything like it, so we are very excited about it.
If I'm truly honest with myself, Stuart, I was so skeptical when I first joined you. I didn't think this thing worked. I thought this whole lifestyle was just a fad. I thought it was one of these new diets that just will come and go and just passe. But what's been amazing, having been on this journey now for a couple of months with you, is I've seen people's lives transformed. I've seen it with my own eyes, and I've seen myself. The changes with me have been incredible. And now I totally get your passion. I get why you have this urgency of getting the message out there, of starting the reality show, of just moving forward. I get it.
Yeah, thanks. I'm so glad you're on board. It's vital that I have people that are with me, that we understand exactly the same thing, see it, live it, and believe it. And this last year has been amazing. And by no means is this passe. The movement is growing. People are getting it. It is a lifestyle. It's not a fad. And now, with this path ahead of us to touch thousands of lives, there's no turning back. It's a huge responsibility. And here we go.
It's cool.
Yeah, no, it's coming.